All right, welcome everyone here to our masterclass, 5 marriage mistakes and what you should do to get them back. So I want to congratulate you on joining. I want to honor you for joining and let you know what an awesome decision it is today to join me here and to set aside time for the things that matter most. I don't know about you, but one of the big traps that I get to, I kind of fall into in my life is this idea that I'm so busy trying to stay on top of things that I never get to the bottom of things, and that sometimes life crowds out the most important things. So I just really want to honor you because you're here. You know that your marriage, you know that your family is so important to you. So congratulations on being here. I'm grateful and I'm honored. Now, just a little bit about who I am, because we have new people joining us all the time. My name is Heather Choate. I have been married for 12, almost 13 years. And this is my partner, Mark Johnston, who's been married 14 years. And we are the founders of High Thrive Coaching. Basically, bottom line is that we are international marriage experts, and we've helped thousands of couples around the world go from literally having divorce papers in hand to rings back on, divorce papers thrown away, affairs ended, etc. So our method helps stop divorce, end affairs, and bring happiness and balance back into the relationship, even if your spouse is currently checked out or not wanting to work on the marriage. That is what we specialize in, right? We help everyday families like yours and mine learn how to open up communication, how to set healthy boundaries, restore trust, and heal so that they can be happy and healthy together long term. So really grateful that we've had the privilege to help so many couples really around the world. I mean, we have clients in, of course, here in the United States, in Canada, over in Europe, UK, and New Zealand, Australia. I know that there's some of my Aussie friends are joining us and New Zealand. So I know it's a very different time zone for you guys. Thank you for joining here today. I really want to make this a discussion. So I will be watching your comments as we do this live. And I have a special opportunity for everyone who's live here today as a thank you for joining us. So let's dive into it. Today, we're going to talk about 5 common marriage mistakes that people make when their spouse is checked out, having an affair, or wanting a divorce, and what you must do instead. And I'm going to be, as always, very real and very honest and very vulnerable. I don't believe in sugarcoating things. I believe that we need real solutions, and we need them now, because this problem here in the world is only getting worse as more and more marriages end in divorce. And there's more and more misunderstanding and lack of real education and lack of real solid proven solutions to have a successful marriage. And so I'm going to be the first to say I've made several of these marriage mistakes myself. And I've learned the hard way that they're not the right way to save a marriage. In fact, I was just talking to a client 2 days ago who was saying, I did everything that you said not to do. And so, like I said here, it's very common that we make these mistakes, but we want to be very careful that we don't fall into these really common traps, that we open our mind, we open our heart, we listen to our intuition, and we find out what actually works. And I really want you guys to give yourself some grace here, because most likely you haven't been taught this. I wasn't taught this. It's not taught in our culture. It's not usually modeled by our parents. Usually most of our friends are also divorced and they're trying to give us advice. Our family members are trying to give us advice and they don't have, very happy relationships themselves. And so what we really want to do is get to the bottom and really understand that we haven't known these things up until now. It isn't modeled in our culture. You're not going to see it on the sitcoms or the drama shows, right? And so give yourself some grace that you haven't known some of these things, and you might have some kind of startling aha moments or some like wake up calls today. And that's a good thing, because unless we start doing some new things, then we aren't going to be able to get new results. Like if we keep doing the same things, we're going to keep getting the same results, right? Are you with me? Awesome. I can see some comments. Thank you for joining. And like I said, this is a discussion, so please join in. Let me know what questions you have. Let me know what aha moments you have. When you have that moment where you're like, oh my goodness, that's me. Are you reading my mind, Heather? Yes, I am. Not really. But I do have experience working with so many people that I know that so many of us are getting stuck in these traps. So after studying thousands of couples around the world, Mark and I have really found commonalities in couples. There are certain things that bring us together. There are certain things that inevitably pull us apart. And there's certain warning signs that say we're heading down a wrong path. There's different cycles and patterns. Even though your marriage situation and the challenges that you might have right now with your husband or with your wife are different than other couples, we've seen some overarching cycles and patterns. And like I said, some really commonalities and really common mistakes that people are falling into. So we want to make sure that we don't fall into those. This right here, this little pattern I put together, is just one example. This may or may not be your pattern, and that's okay. But there's just some really common cycles and patterns that we've seen because we've been able to help so many couples, and we understand what those really look like and can help you avoid some of those traps. Speaking of traps, I'm going to call this very lovingly our death trap for marriage. Now, I know that sounds like super melodramatic, and I almost didn't do it, but the acronym was just too good. And I'm going to be really honest. Because we help so many couples, we see those that take action to use our path method that we're going to share with you, and we see those that don't. And those that don't, they are the ones that the marriage ends and it doesn't work out. And so we really want to make sure that we're not falling into any kind of death trap. So death here stands for D, desperation, E, expecting spouse to work on the marriage, A, assuming their intentions, T, taking too long to get serious help, and H, holding on to old patterns. So we're going to go deep into each of these. Mistake number one is desperation. This looks like manipulation, pleading, freezing, lashing out. So when we get into desperation, when we get into fear mode, we let our emotions and that fear rule us. And it looks like a couple different ways. And maybe you see some of this in you or your spouse, and just be really aware of that. And don't judge yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. Just have that awareness that, yeah, this is me. And know that this kind of fear-based behavior and these fearful emotions, as these desperate emotions, they can be changed, and they can be replaced with a sense of peace and empowerment, with a sense of, I know what to do next. I know how to handle these emotions. I know how to move through these emotions. So let's get a little bit deeper into each one. So we see sometimes when people are in desperation, and I've been here too, like I said at the beginning, I've fallen into some of these myself, manipulation, like trying to force our spouse to come back. Like doing things like saying, I'm going to take the kids, I'm going to leave you, I'm going to take all the money. And we do these things to maybe try to hurt our spouse, but to try to incentivize them to come back to us. And what happens is it never, ever works. Our spouse knows, or maybe not consciously, but they can sense that we're trying to be manipulative, and we're trying to just do things to try to get them back. And it's only going to end up pushing them further away. So if we're using any kind of manipulation tactic, we need to be really aware of that. Pleading, begging our spouse to come back. Like just so desperate, please come back, please come back to me. I'll do anything. I'll take you on a cruise. I mean, we've heard, I'm laughing a little bit right now, but it's not funny. but it is kind of funny. But we've heard, like my husband promised me he'd take me to Europe and he'd buy me all this stuff and everything like that just to get me back. And what happens when we get into, I'll do anything to get you back, is that our spouse can sense our desperation. When you're around someone that's very desperate, when you're in a room with someone that's full of fear, someone that's panicking, even if they're not, even if they're trying to hide it, you can still feel the tension. And so how do you think that this kind of emotional energy is affecting your spouse? They're sensing it. And when we sense that someone's in fear, when they're panicked, it makes us feel insecure. It makes us feel unsafe. And what do? All right, I can see some comments here. Exactly. We pull away. We distance ourselves. We try to create space so that we can feel safe and we don't have that person like breathing down our neck because it doesn't feel safe. And so what we want to do is learn how to get out of that fear and desperation so that our partner can feel safe around us again. I mean, if you have had this kind of tension and you have this desperation, you have this fear, this pleading going on, how much better would it feel for both you and your spouse to feel safe, to feel even a sense of ease and comfort around each other? That's exactly what we show you how to do. The other one, freezing. We get so scared to do anything, so we don't do anything. Like we get into just absolute freeze mode and we don't know what to say, so we end up saying nothing. We don't know what to do, so we end up doing nothing. And we just clench up. We just totally freeze. And I hear this a lot where I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I'm so afraid that anything I do is going to be the wrong thing. So I'm just not going to do anything at all. And the tragic part of that is that then it's too late because you didn't do anything at all. And then it leads to the very thing that you feared the most, which is the relationship ending. So this desperation can cause you to get into fear mode and freeze. And so if you're feeling frozen, like you don't know what to do, you're too afraid to do anything, then we can help you there to understand what the right thing is to do, the right way to do it, and how to build up some inner security, some inner confidence so that you can navigate that successfully. Then the last part of this common mistake number 1 is lashing out. This is me to a T. I'm being really honest. At least that's how I was years ago before I learned how to master these things myself, is that if you are hurting me, I am going to hurt you. And if I feel threatened by you, if you make me feel defensive, then I need to get back at you and put you on the defensive. And basically what it comes down to is we want to feel understood. And maybe our intentions aren't so malicious. Maybe we're just like, I really want you to understand I'm really, really hurting here. And so we do something to make them hurt because we think that if we make them hurt, then they'll have compassion and understanding for us. And then they will stop hurting us. And then we can work together on it. I've done that. I've been in that kind of pattern. I've had that kind of, I'm going to say it's irrational, but I guess there's some level of ration to it, right? Rationality. But really what happens when we're lashing out is it just makes them more defensive and justifies their reasons for wanting to leave even more. And sometimes we're really, truly trying to get even. I do see this sometimes where we're so hurt, you broke my trust, you broke my heart, and now I'm going to break yours, right? And we just want to get even. And that get evenness is going to have severe consequences because it only perpetuates the pain, not only for you, but now for your partner and everyone else involved, including if you have children. Absolutely, your children are going to be affected by the cycle of lashing out and getting even. So what do we want to do instead? If the common mistake is desperation, and I can see some of you in the chat are saying, yes, I so get this, or yeah, I can see that, then what we want to do instead is make sure that we have immediate solutions on how to process through our emotions. Our emotions are powerful, and I know how strong they can be when our spouse is pulling away, when they have done or said things that hurt us. And so that's why, big reason why in our PATH coaching program, we've implemented a brand new thing that we've been testing, and it's getting really great results for our clients. It's called the live chat. I like the little bouncy phone here. But what this is that you have access to talk to a coach whenever you need to. So you don't have to wait for an appointment. You don't have to just schedule something a week away or wait till you have your counseling appointment in 2 weeks, right? If you need help right then help is available when you need it most. And what this gives is peace of mind for you, support, like I'm not alone. Like I know that loneliness of like, I don't think anyone ever gets this. Like I can only be the one that's ever experiencing this. But what happens is you have this chat, you have a coach immediately available to get you solutions to solve this problem, to get out of fear and desperation so that you can feel calm, you can feel what I call centered, like you're just calm and you just have empowerment within you and you're tapped into like who you really are and what you really want out of life and what you really want out of your marriage and maybe out of this specific situation. So I'm going to give an example here from one of our clients, name change to Krista. She says, having access to a coach whenever I need it is so relieving. I don't feel alone. I don't feel like just another appointment on someone's calendar. There's a real coach ready to help me anytime. When my husband told me he didn't plan on coming home again, I was devastated. And I could feel the fear coming back in like an old monster under my bed. I got on the chat and immediately got support. I cleared my head and knew what I needed to do next. This changes everything for me. Thank you so much, Krista. And when Krista's talking about that fear, she was one that would get into pleading mode. She would get into desperation. She would say things like, I will do anything. I will go to the gym more. I will take better care of the kids. I will do whatever you're feeling like you need to happen intimately, right? And she would completely be inauthentic to herself, trying to get him back, willing to do whatever it took to get him back. And what she realized was that was only pushing him further away. It wasn't working. And she was feeling a lot of discord within herself because she wasn't being true to who she really was. And she was acting from that state of fear and desperation. And so being able to have coaching when she needed it most in these really challenging moments is so crucial to be able to process through those emotions. And now she's really in a calm and centered place, an empowered place where she has respect for herself and she's learned how to set healthy boundaries with her husband. And we've been able to guide her every step of the way. When you have something like dropped on you, like when it feels like this bomb was just dropped on you and it came out of nowhere and you feel totally blindsided, or something even more painful or tragic happens, you feel like, I don't know what to do, right? That's so common for us. We're like, I don't know how to handle this. I don't know what to do. Please, someone help. And it's like this guide comes to you, holds your hand and says, okay, this is how we're going to process through this. This is what I want you to do. This is how you're going to do some work right now to feel more empowered, to feel respected, to feel like you have confidence in yourself, to find the feelings that you're really seeking inside yourself. And then this is how we're going to handle this situation with your spouse. Maybe they stop by unexpectedly at your house, or maybe they say, I'm going to take all custody of the kids, or whatever it might be. Or maybe it's even the day you find out they are actually having an affair. How great would it be to get immediate help, immediate support from people who know how to navigate through that, and they can show you exactly what you need to do. One of the biggest questions we get is, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Everything I'm doing isn't working. In fact, the things I'm doing are actually pushing them further away. I really don't know what to do. And so that question right there will always be answered for you. And you'll never be sitting there wondering, I don't know what to do anymore. You'll have solution and you'll have support. All right, so that brings us to mistake 2, which is expecting our spouse to work on the marriage. And here's where this comes from, okay? So we see a couple different main areas where this really shows up. The first one is you committed. We tell our spouse, you committed, you made wedding vows, you promised me. Divorce is against our religion, it's against our culture, and you promised me, so you can't do this. And what happens when our spouse hears that? They don't care. It has no sway over them anymore. And maybe morally it should, maybe honor should have a play. And that's, I can see where this is coming from. And I understand where we say, hey, you promised, you vowed. Doesn't your word mean anything to you? But at this point, if they're wanting out, if they say I'm in love with someone else, or I love you, but I'm not in love with you, I want a divorce. This type of trying to put pressure on them because of their previous commitment, what is that really going to do? And what does that really say? Are they going to receive it and suddenly honor up like they probably, a good honorable person would? No, they're not, because they have already made up their mind. And so you pushing them, expecting them to work on the marriage only pushes them further away. Now, what we also see is the you shoulds, right? You should work on this with me. You should stop having an affair. Just stop it. You should stop this addiction. You should just fall back in love with me. You should meet my needs. You should make me happy, right? All of these shoulds. And when someone is saying you should do this to us, and we've already made up our mind that we're not going to, again, what is that going to do? It's only going to push them further away. And then the next one, I won't until you, okay? Let me explain what this one means. So it means, like, I'll put this in my perspective. So I won't work on the marriage until you do. I'm not going to try to fix this unless you do. I'm not going to show you understanding until you show me understanding. I'm not going to trust you until you trust me. Do you catch on? Yeah, I can see some of you like, oh yeah. Awesome. And so as we're in that kind of, I'm not going to do anything until you go first mode, what happens in this situation when our spouse is saying, I'm done, I don't want to work on the marriage, I want a divorce, or I'm in love with someone else, that when we're saying, I'm going to wait until you do it first, or sometimes we hear this like, I'm not going to, well, shouldn't they work on it with me? Like, why should I have to do it first? And I'm not going to do anything until they do it first, is that you're losing precious time, because the reality is they're not going to do it. The likelihood of them suddenly turning around and just miraculously deciding, yeah, I'm going to start working on this. Yeah, I'll start showing you understanding. Yeah, I'll start trusting you and respecting you, isn't going to happen. And so we need to be the ones that go first. It's one of the fundamental principles that Mark and I teach here at High Thrive Coaching, is that you can save your marriage on your own by going first. And you must be willing to do the work, because anything else is marriage suicide. Your spouse is already out the door, and so waiting for them to turn around is not going to work well for you. So what you want to do is have the courage and be willing to go first. Why? Because at the end of the day, you want to have peace in your heart that you did what you needed to do for your marriage, even if it doesn't work out. Even if it doesn't work out. Because you're going to be the one that lives with the consequences. And they will too, of course. I'm not saying you're the only one, but I'm saying that you are the one that gets to live with your own choices. And so many people don't take action, and they wait too long, and then they live with regret that they really didn't give it their all. Contrast that to those who do give it their all, who learn some new skills and who apply this method here. And I can see some of our clients here, they're saying this method's awesome. Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. And so those people can move forward with peace in their heart. And that is worth everything. Not only having peace in your heart that you don't have any regrets about what you did, that you really did give it your all, but now you have skills, now you have knowledge, now you have understanding of how to be better in a relationship, and that will serve you no matter what. Even if your marriage does end, those skills and that strength within yourself, that strength within your character, that you didn't let this situation defeat you, but that you grew and became a better person, that is incredibly empowering. And those things stay with you for a lifetime and make you such a better person. And it's beautiful to see those that are willing to step up and go first. Now, does that mean you're going to be working on your marriage alone forever? No. It just means that you're the one that wants this relationship. And so be willing to learn some new things and do some new things. Be willing to show understanding first. Be willing to show respect first. Be willing to work on it first. And then eventually the relationship will get to a point where it can come into balance and they can start to work on it with you. They can start to show you understanding. They can start to meet your needs as well. And that's how we help our clients get there. And it's awesome. We're now working with many couples together on their relationship. And it's beautiful to see when it does come back into balance. But it's a journey to get there. And you have to use our PATH method to really get there successfully. So just to sum up mistake number 2, expecting our spouse to work on the marriage, pressuring them to work on the marriage in any of those ways, it only pushes our spouse further away. And oftentimes it's completely disregarding how they're actually feeling as we plow ahead with what we want. We're putting our needs, our sense of security, our sense of companionship. I want companionship. Our sense of, I need you to love me. I need you to trust me. I need you to be there for me and give me comfort and support and all these things. And you're not doing that. And what it's really doing is that we're saying our needs are better, are more important than yours. And I get that because we all live within our own self, right? But what happens is a great shift when we can truly understand how they are feeling. Why are they doing what they're doing? Which is why the first part of PATH method is to understand their perspective. When we do that, it opens our heart to see them, to really see them. So I want to ask you, how well do you feel like you really understand your partner? 95% of the time, most people have no clue why their spouse wants out. They have no clue where their marriage went wrong. They have no clue why the affair happened. And they're sitting there scratching their head like, I don't know why this happened, right? And they don't fully understand their partner. They don't understand what's motivating them to make these painful decisions that are hurting them. And so when we can understand that, it gives us an immense sense of clarity. And I'm also going to say compassion. It does. Even if what they're doing really hurts us, because when we can finally understand what they are going through, maybe things that happen in their past that are leading them to behave this way, then we can actually have a sense of compassion for them, which softens our own heart, puts us in their shoes, and helps us understand better how we can help them and how we can support them and care for them because we care for them, not because we're trying to get them back, simply because we care. And as we do that, when we come from that kind of a place of, I genuinely care about you, I just want to understand you, I want to be a better person, and I want to learn how I can understand you and other people better. Can you help me with that? When we do that, when we come from that kind of place, our spouse senses that. Contrast that to the fear, right? The desperation and the pleading and the manipulation, the doing anything to get them back, the pressuring them to work on the marriage. The results are night and day. This is how we really bring them back to us. And what also happens is that we lose precious time. If we're pressuring them and expecting them to work on the marriage, if we're unwilling to work on it until they do, we're losing precious time and opportunities that we could use to get them back. And time, if they're wanting a divorce, if they're wanting out, is not on our side. But the good news is that we can take these opportunities now to turn things around. So what do we do instead? Right? That's what not to do. I think you guys get that pretty well, right? We definitely don't want to be pushing them. And that brings us to what we call our push versus pull method. And this is what we do and how we teach you in our coaching program. We work with you on how maybe consciously or most often subconsciously we've been pushing them away. So here's what it looks like. First of all, we stop demanding that they stay. We take the pressure off because we know that pressure only leads to further distance, right? We help you to create comfort and safety between you. How good would that feel? Let me know in the comments. How good would that feel to have comfort and safety in your relationship? It doesn't mean every problem is going to be solved immediately, but imagine you could come home today, or imagine you could see your spouse the next time you see them. And instead of tension, instead of fear, there was actually comfort. There was a sense of safety. There was a sense of compassion. There was a sense of understanding. How good would that feel? Let me know in the comments. I want to know, how would that be different for you than what it is right now? And then we show you how to draw your spouse to you naturally so they want to be with you. How good would that feel? I'm here like, so good. It would be the best ever. I want that so bad, right? How good would it feel that they actually want to be with you? That is our goal with coaching. That's what we show you how to do. And again, I'm going to go over here to a couple of our clients so you can see what it's like for them from their perspective. Daniel David's here. I didn't realize how much pressure I'd been putting on my wife until the boot camp with Mark. So what we do is we have a 3-day, this is my note, right? Side note, side note time, here we go. We do a 3-day boot camp where you get to work directly with Mark. In fact, the reason why you have me today and not Mark is because he's doing one of these boot camps. And it's awesome. And people are getting incredible results like Daniel did here. So when I stopped pushing, she really started opening up. So he learned that by working with Mark in the 3-day boot camp, which you get for free when you join coaching. It's part of the coaching program. Other people pay $997, even $1,200 for the boot camp, and you get to have this 3-day special deep dive event with Mark Johnston when you join. So sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit here. Let me get a drink. All right, Tanya here. I was so caught in fear, I would freeze every time we spoke. Now I can let my voice be heard with confidence, and my husband is noticing the difference. I have more self-respect. And Kellen, what I learned in just 3 days has changed my life. I can't wait for the coaching. So Kellen here did the 3-day boot camp and now is moving on to do more coaching with Mark because he realized how awesome it is to be able to have solutions and to be able to find what the root issues are in the relationship. All right, mistake number 3. I love this slide. All right, so in mistake number 3, it's assuming their intentions and reacting emotionally to situations and perceptions. Now, let's face it, whether you think you're a very logical, analytical person or you think that you're a more emotional, kind of maybe touchy-feely person, we're all emotional. When something happens, there is an emotional response. And so when we just act out of that first emotion, most of the time, it's not the right action because we're not in the right emotion, right? So think about when you are in stress, when you are in anger, or when you are in fear. What actually happens inside our brain is that our brain says, uh-oh, panic time, and it sends out the adrenaline and the cortisol, and 90% of our reasoning power is reduced. meaning that the blood flow to the actual reasoning center of our brain is reduced, we go into our limbic system, which is the fight, flight, or freeze syndrome. And what happens when we're in this state is we see a couple common reactions here. Igniting, which means adding fire to the fire, anger, explosiveness. Ignoring, thinking that problems will go away on their own, which is like the freezing. I'm just going to ignore it. I'm just going to pretend it's not happening. Catastrophizing. This is a word I put in there that spell check said was not a real word, but to me it is. So there you go. Catastrophizing. I love it. Catastrophizing is that problems are so big, they'll never be solved. This is impossible. My spouse will never come back. They want a divorce. It's over. There's nothing I can do, right? Which then leads to victimhood and hopelessness, which means giving power over to the other person or the situation, throwing up our hands and saying, there's nothing I can do. And what happens here is that all of these types of emotional reactions focus on the symptoms, not the root issues. And here at High Thrive Coaching, another core principle that we always teach is focus on the root issues. I get it. When there are challenges in your marriage, when your spouse is doing something painful that hurts you, it's so easy to focus on the symptoms. But anything from affairs, fighting, money issues, parenting issues, the fact that they're not in love with you, the fact that they want a divorce, all of those things are the symptoms. They are not the real reason. Remember when I went back to, let's go back to when I shared about how 95% of people have no idea why their spouse really wants out. That's because they're focusing on the symptom. The symptom is, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. I want out. I want a divorce. You never make me happy. You never listen to me. You're not affectionate. I'm in love with this other person. That is the symptom. That is the surface level issue. And too many people spend the majority of their time obsessing over that without understanding the deeper cause. And oftentimes, even counselors, pastors, other marriage resources out there, they have good intentions. They simply don't know that they're focusing on the wrong thing. They're focusing on the affair. They think if we just stop the affair, everything will be fine in the relationship. So let's just stop the affair. Let's just stop the addictive behavior. Let's just stop this, right? If we just stop this, then everything else will be great. And they don't understand what's really causing that to show up in the first place. I compare that for me to if the doctor said, oh, you have a cancer tumor in your left breast. Okay, let's put a Band-Aid on it. Or let's just cut it out. We don't know why it's there. We don't know how it showed up. Let's just get rid of it, right? And it didn't uncover the reason why the cancer showed up in the first place or create a plan and a system so that it doesn't come back again. But what we do, contrasting, is that we create a truly healthy environment. We create a healthy, strong foundation so that we solve those root issues and we can truly thrive long-term. We're not about quick fixes. We're not about putting Band-Aids on your situation. We're not about fixing the surface level. We're about going deep. And we do that in a couple ways. First, we want to ready the soil, just like planting a seed, right? First, we must stop the damage and prepare the relationship to be healthy. And so if there are unhealthy behaviors and patterns going on, then we help you learn how to stop those and start doing the right things. Start maybe even you're subconsciously pushing them away or you're subconsciously acting out of fear. We show you how to move out of that and have the right energy so that you can really have a healthy relationship going forward. As we continue to nurture that seed and we now have healthy, fertile soil, then we want consistent action. This is where we're really putting in the work day after day, just like you water a seed and you nourish it and you wait for it to grow. It takes time. It does. I'm not going to lie. This is definitely a process. It took time to get to where you are, and it's going to take time to heal the relationship. And so we show you how to make positive adjustments that allow love to grow. How good does that feel? Like, how much would you love to have that, right? And then we help build those deep, strong foundations. And because you have nourished a healthy relationship, now you're able to solve those issues at their roots. And we show you how to solve those issues at their roots and guide you to build strong and lasting roots so that your marriage will be happy, secure, and healthy long term. I see a comment here, compassion is hard. It is, but it is healing. So do you want pain? Because I think you choose your heart as a side note here. Pain, that's harder. Healing feels a lot better. So compassion is hard, but it leads to healing. So how do we do this? We want to nourish understanding. Nourish that understanding. Nourish that compassion. Choose your heart. It's going to be hard either way. Having a divorce, spending, the average divorce is $16,000 here in the United States. You can look it up and they can go upwards to, multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars with division of assets and so forth. That's hard, not to mention all the emotional pain and trauma that goes with that. And it's hard to save your marriage. They're both hard. So which one do you want at the end of the day, right? That's only a decision that you can make within yourself. And you're the one that gets to live with whatever choice you make. Mistake number 4, taking too long to get serious help. So here is a little stages of marriage breakdown. Now, I'm going to say that this does not apply to all marriages right off the bat. Like, you don't have to go through every single one of these stages. You may have jumped from one to another, but this is kind of the commonality that we see. So it starts with tension, coldness, fighting, withholding, leads to distrust, and then a breakdown. My partner wants out. Then that leads to distance, separation, physically, emotionally, intimately occurs. And then fixation. Partner is determined on leaving and being happy somewhere else. And then the final stage is finalization. The partner is past the point of no return. In other words, they're married to someone else. They have completely 100% moved on. I'm going to explain this a little bit more in detail. A lot of times people are like, hey, is it too late? They say they want a divorce. Is it too late? Like, can I actually turn this around? Is it even possible? Let me give some clarity on this. So, hundreds of our students, I asked them over in our Facebook group and in our email, I asked them and they gave me the answers. And hundreds of our students say they wish they'd started sooner. Here's a couple really quick comments. I wish I'd started at least 2 years ago. 100%. If I knew 9 months ago what I know today, I would not have waited 6 months to join any of the programs. I learned a lot from the free content. However, I made the decision to find a way. However, if I made the decision to find a way sooner, I think I would be farther along. Heck, 10 months ago when my world was unraveling, if I had even known about you guys, I think it may have changed everything. Then I wouldn't be where I am now, separated and living apart. Another one, I wish I would have known the problems were so bad earlier. I got blindsided. Problems didn't happen overnight. It was a slow process. I wish I'd started sooner. And so here is where most people actually get serious about getting help. When their partner is determined on leaving and being happy somewhere else, or when it's completely over already. And this is where most other counselors, pastors, and other programs will help. It's not uncommon for us to hear from other coaches that are outside of our company that have their own program, and even counselors say, I'll only help you if your partner's willing to work on the marriage. If they're not willing to work on the marriage, I can't help you. The reason why? You want to know some of the reasons why? It's hard what we do. It's dang hard. It's way easier to help when your spouse wants to work on it with you. That's not hard. And a little side note, it also looks really good for their statistics. Oh, look, all these marriages we saved. Oh yeah, because both were willing to work on it. So what we do is that we help right here, on the part where most people are actually wanting help. Because this idea that you can't get help unless your partner's wanting to work on it with you leads to people thinking it's too late. And what we've proven time and time again is that it's not too late. Here's an example. This just comes to my mind, a client, Mike. Mike had been noticing that there were problems in his relationship long before he reached out to us. Actually, for about 2 or 3 years before he reached out to us. He just didn't feel like there was anything he could do, right? He was working a crazy amount of hours. He felt like he was doing the best that he could to provide for his family. He thought he was building their dream life, right? And one day it all came crashing down on him when he recognized that he might lose his wife and his family. Again, he felt blindsided, right? So what did he do? So I remember he talked about, like, I'm going to cut back on hours. I'm going to be home more. And then soon after he did these changes, and he made some big changes, he realized that many of his changes were just too late and that his wife had already completely disconnected from him. So at this point, it became an uphill battle to repair the damage that had been done. It would have been so much easier for him if he'd acted sooner, right? I'm sure many of you are nodding your head. Yeah, it would have been easier if I'd acted sooner. But here's the good news. Even still, it wasn't too late. And we were able to help him get his wife connected again. They're having deep conversations. And now they're celebrating their 19th wedding anniversary. He's taking them to their favorite spot up in the mountains. And we're so happy. And so the bottom line is, don't fall into the myth of thinking that it's too late, but also don't procrastinate in getting help. If things aren't going good, then take action now and learn the skills you need to learn with these proven solutions that we teach you in our coaching program. Here's a couple comments. So Dwayne has shared his story. You can see his interview here in the Thriving Marriage Facebook group. You can also see it on our YouTube channel. Dwayne shared with us the day that Katie is putting her wedding ring back on. And this is not uncommon, but I love it. We celebrate this every time it happens. Leah Smith, you can see her video on YouTube as well, her interview with us here. My husband left the other woman and is dedicated to working on our relationship. We're better now than ever before. Did you just hear that? She said, we're better now than ever before. She even told me in one of our sessions, I am so happy, and she gave me permission to share this, but we're better now, and I'm actually grateful that the affair happened. It was the hardest thing, it was the worst thing, but now we're even better. Our marriage is even stronger now than it was before the affair even started. That is incredible progress, and that is incredible shift, showing that when you solve root issues, then you really have transformation in your relationship. And Kristen, I just have to say my marriage is not where it used to be. There is a connection so different from the past. We are working hard, and there is a gentleness between us. We are a team and doing what is best for all. I can't thank you enough. And Kristen just sent me a picture of their family on the beach. They were celebrating with their 2 beautiful daughters. And it's amazing to see they've been working with us actually several years ago, and that their marriage is truly strong. And it's so, so fulfilling and wonderful to see where they are. And Matt Nicholson, we're in a better place now than we were after 20 years of therapy, because they finally solved the issues in the right way. So that brings us to our final mistake number 5. And first of all, I want to ask you, is this helpful? Have you had an aha moment? Have you seen where you might be making some mistakes? Have you seen where you could start to take some action now to change things in your relationship? I'd really love to know. All right, mistake number 5, holding on to old patterns. And I see some of you, yes, that was totally me that you described about, I can't read the rest of it, sorry. I think it's about the compassion. Awesome. Holding on to old patterns. So what do I mean here? This big common mistake that we make. This is one I've made myself for way too long. And it's continuing to do the same things and expecting different results. So basically, a marriage is a dance, right? We have a pattern. We have certain, moves that we make. And then our partner has a pattern, and they have certain moves that they make in return. And what happens, though, is if we continue these patterns, oftentimes we're going to be pulled further and further apart. And one of the funniest things about us human beings is that we think that if we just keep doing the same thing, like somehow it's going to end up different, or somehow it's going to just be okay. And we don't learn new skills and we don't take action. So I'm going to give an example here. One of our clients, Courtney. So Courtney felt that if she was upset about something, she should let her husband know. So this often looked like her shaming her husband, yelling at him, even like calling him names. And the result was that her husband didn't really want to be around her anymore as a married couple, right? It's hard to be around someone that shames you, yells you, calls you names. And he started staying out late and sometimes not coming home. Courtney realized she needed to make some changes to the patterns of interaction she had with her husband. She realized that her own fears, her own anger, her own emotions were just pushing him further away. So once we helped her calm down and share how she felt with him in a productive manner, in an effective manner, then her husband was right on board with making things better, even willing to meet with us. And so changing her pattern really opened up avenues to reconciliation. So what do we want to do instead of holding on to these old patterns is that we want to learn new patterns and we want to take action to change. What does this look like? As I said earlier, be willing to go first. Be willing to be the first one to make a move in the right direction. You will have so much peace of mind that you did. It will be the best decision you've ever made, regardless of what happens in the end to the relationship, because you will be learning new skills. You will be empowering yourself. You will be living with no regrets. And then have actionable feedback for every interaction that you have with your spouse. Because sometimes we don't even realize that we're stuck in those old patterns. Like we don't even realize, like I just do the same things, I react the same way, he reacts the same way, she reacts the same way, and we keep just doing the same thing over and over. And sometimes we're not even aware of it. And so what we've found and what we've tested with our clients in our coaching program that's made a huge difference for them, it's really changed so many things and help them make incredible progress, is that you get a field report. And a field report means after you have an interaction with your spouse, after you have a conversation, after you talk about the kids or the business or the house or even the divorce, you submit a field report to your coach. And your coach reviews it and gives you feedback on what you did well, how you're starting to take action to change, how you're starting to develop the right habits, right? And how you're applying these new skills and what you did really well on. And they're also going to point out the things that you need to improve so that you know what the next steps are. It gives you support in the journey and you celebrate the little wins along the way. Because I get it, when you're on this kind of a journey, when you have this huge goal and you're trying to make all these changes, you kind of feel like you can't celebrate until you're at the top. Like you can't celebrate until, like Dwayne said, your wife or your husband puts their wedding ring back on. And like that's the big moment that we're all waiting for. But the reality is that you need to celebrate the little wins along the way. And you need to recognize the empowering, incredible choices that you're making right now. And so that's what we do with the field reports. And we always help you know what the next step is. And we show you, you are making progress. You're doing it. You're doing so much better. And you've come so far from where you were. And we celebrate you and you celebrate yourself, which gives you energy and gratitude. And it gives you enthusiasm to keep going because it is a long journey. And so we need that energy to keep going. That's why it's so powerful. All right, let's put this all together. So kind of like a puzzle here, we're going to put all the pieces together. What we want to have is all of these pieces put together so that we're not in fear, we're not in desperation, we're not in overwhelm, and we're not reacting emotionally to situations, but we learn the right skills to bring our spouse naturally back to us. So what we have is the live chat, which helps you feel calm and centered so that you have solutions when you need them. You move out of fear or desperation. You get to a calm, centered place. Push versus pull. You learn how to draw your spouse naturally to you. Then you learn how to nourish understanding, how to open up communication by showing understanding first. And here we solve the root issues and help you build strong foundations. I know that's what you want. I know that you're not looking for a temporary fix. You want this long-term because this person matters to you. We give you those proven solutions to do what really works. You don't have to waste years in therapy. You don't have to wonder 5 years later where you went wrong or why you didn't ever take action. You have the proven solutions and you take action. You get the help you need now before it's really too late. And you can see where your marriage can be. Where do you really want your relationship to be? Where do you want to be 6 months from now? Where do you want to be a year from now? How good would it feel to have safety and comfort in your relationship? How good would it feel to be secure and to know that this person loves you and that you love them and that now you're working together as a team? How good would it feel to know that you took action and that you live your life with no regrets and that whatever pain or overwhelm or stress or fear or anguish that you might be in right now, that you've become a better person and you've learned because of it? So how do we do this? We do this by our one-on-one private coaching sessions, our group coaching sessions, and our 3-day boot camp. We have the live chat, so you always have access to a coach when you need it. We do the field reports, making sure that you progress, sure that you celebrate your progress, and that you always have the solutions and the next steps. So you are like, I know what to do now, and guaranteed results. Let me show you exactly what this is all like. We've discovered in working with so many clients over the years, and we're constantly testing and refining things. And what we found is something incredible. We've discovered this and no one else is talking about it. It's making a huge difference for our clients. So again, that live chat, immediate help when you need it most, no appointment needed, which gives you a sense of security, a sense of peace. Private one-on-one coaching. This is unlimited individual coaching sessions with marriage experts who show you exactly the next steps you need to take to save your marriage fast. And then the powerful 3-day boot camp where you get exclusive access to Mark Johnston. He's actually not taking on any one-on-one clients right now, but he does make himself available to work with you in this boot camp, and he's always available to help you when you need it, which is a 3-day intensive event to supercharge your results with your spouse. And group coaching. This is a powerful platform to learn from other people that are also restoring their marriage. It accelerates your learning and you get your spouse back fast. You have support, you have camaraderie with other people going through it, and you learn from them and they get to learn from you. You're inspired by them and they are in turn inspired by you as well. The field reports, which gives you accountability, which is so important to change. We can't just keep thinking that we can keep doing the same things and get different results, right? And we can't just nod our head, even in like a masterclass like this, and be like, oh yeah, it makes so much sense. And then we go back to the same things, or we even try to do them on our own, and we don't know if we're doing them right, and we actually find out we totally aren't. No, we want to have accountability and feedback to make sure that we progress and know what to do next. And the 100% guarantee, at the end of your 16-week coaching, if you still haven't gotten results, here's what we do. We refund your money or we coach you until you do. No one else is doing that. And this truly is the world's best system for restoring your marriage fast. Here is who we work with, because a lot of people are like, yeah, I want this. I want to work with you. But there's only so many people that we take on. In fact, we limit our spots to 10 each month. And we already have several filled. So what we look for, go back, dang it. Well, I don't know how to go back, so I'm just gonna say it. We look for those that are coachable, that are committed, and that are resourceful. They are invested. Coachable, meaning you're willing to do what it takes. Committed, that you're going to give it everything that it takes and you're committed to succeeding. And invested, meaning you're gonna put forth the money, the time, and the energy. Coaching like this is a multiple $100,000 to multiple $1,000 investment. And so you must be willing to put your money into what matters most. And if that's not you, that's okay. We also have online programs and courses at a much more reasonable budget if that's where you're at right now, because we get that. However, the best help always comes from those that are committed, coachable, and invested and want to get results quickly in the very best way. Now, this 100% guarantee, like I said, we only accept 10 clients per month. We've already had 6 people join. There's only 4 spots left. Today, we've opened the last one-on-one coaching spots before we're going to double the price. And to make it an absolute no-brainer, we're taking all of the risk off of you and putting it on us. Why are we doing this? Like, this is amazing. We are so confident that you will get results because our clients do. They get results. And if you don't, then we will return your money or continue your coaching until you do. That's right. So if you aren't happy with the results of the program, we'll continue your coaching until you get the results that you want, which means no end date, no pressure, just pure marriage happiness. A coach or even a therapist, think about it, would a therapist ever do this? They'll never offer a guarantee on their services because they're risking their time and their effort if they do. And we're doing the same thing. We're risking our time and our effort, but we are 100% sure that you will get there with our one-on-one path coaching. We're not even worried about it, truly. Mark and I have been doing this long enough. We decided, you know what, to heck with it. What we found is that this guarantee alone has greatly increased our clients' results. Here's what I mean. They're now focused on what matters most. My friend, I want you to be focused on what matters most, which means saving your marriage, being a good example to your children, and becoming the best person possible. That is what is before you. And that is where I want to see you succeed. And I can't wait to see you there and to celebrate you. So if you're saying, yes, that's me. I am coachable. I am committed. I am invested. How do I join? How do I get one of those last 4 spots? How do I get this incredible guarantee that you're going to help me get there no matter what? You just go over here, book a complimentary consultation call with us right now. We only have a few spots open. And so I encourage you to act fast. Go over to highthrivecoaching.com/apply. That's high, HIGH, thrivecoaching.com/apply. Thank you so much for joining me. I honor you. Marriage is precious. Marriage is sacred. And you have the opportunity right now to learn, to grow, and to become a better version of yourself. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll talk to you soon.